The Empire Strikes Back is the best film in the original Star Wars trilogy. It has all the great qualities that the original Star Wars has: great effects, appealing characters, and lots of spellbinding action. It also has eliminated some of the problems that plagued the first. The storyline is tighter and goes much deeper into the character development. The performances are terrific, especially by Harrison Ford, who plays Han Solo, and Billy Dee Williams as Lando Calrissian. George Lucas is also remembered to include a spellbinding battle sequence with the Snowspeeder sequence near the beginning of the film. The conclusion with the lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker is truly one of the most suspenseful and dramatic scenes in the entire series. This is a truly wondrous film, and serves as a constant reminder that just because a movie is expensive and a blockbuster does not mean that it has to be shallow and two-dimensional. This film will undoubtedly entertain viewers of all ages, from start to finish. But what makes this film great, and what makes it my favourite film of all time? Let's find out. Every film is split up into acts. The first act of this film is everything on Hoth. The second act of this film is everything on Dagobah and the Millennium Falcon. And the third act of this film is everything on Bespin and the Rebel Fleet. The first act, set on Hoth, introduces us to the characters we all know and love. Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, Leia Organa, played by Carrie Fisher, and a whole host of other characters, introducing new and old. This film does something different, though, to what its predecessor did. Its predecessor put its main battle sequence at the end of the film. The Empire Strikes Back does not do this. The Empire Strikes Back puts its main spectacle piece at the beginning of the film, exactly around 22 minutes around in the film. This sequence is titled The Battle of Hoth, and is probably one of the most influential scenes in the whole of film. Everything in the film is real, feels real. The use of practical effects. This is what we need from films today. Practical effects, not CGI. Having practical effects makes everything seem much, much more believable, and makes it a more enjoyable viewing experience for the viewer of the film. The third act of The Empire Strikes Back takes place on the Cloud City of Bespin. This is essentially where our characters are torn apart, with Han Solo being encased in carbonite because Harrison Ford wasn't sure if he would return for another film. The third act really does encompass the feeling of dread, the feeling that the good guys can lose and the bad guys can win. This film is all about the bad guys. Darth Vader and Boba Fett, they win. The rebels, they lose twice in one film, and they lose pretty much everything. They lose their base, they lose their friends. It really does set up a whole new galaxy. The movie ends in such a way that actually people didn't like it when it first came out back in 1980. People were really mad with the way the film ended because they just wanted to know. They really wanted to know what happened.
Hang on! Hang on, Dak! Get ready to fire that tow cable!
Just the way those AT-ATs stride across that snow-capped landscape, it is completely mesmerising to the audience, as the rebels try and desperately fight on the ground, and as the rebels also desperately fight in the skies in their snowspeeders. It really does encounter that feeling of hopelessness that the rebels have, and that this film is taking a much more darker approach to the Star Wars saga. So this had to be encompassed in the directing. The Empire Strikes Back is directed by Irving Kershner. George Lucas felt that Irving Kershner was the right pick to direct The Empire Strikes Back, because Irving Kershner was actually George Lucas's teacher at film school, if I remember rightly. If Irving Kershner didn't direct The Empire Strikes Back, I think we would have gotten a completely different film. The range of shots that are used, from the sides of the AT-ATs, from the twirling camera when the TIE fighters crash into the asteroids. The camera work in this film is phenomenal for 1980. Empire Strikes Back, and I'm pretty sure some people can agree with me on this, has some pretty awesome cinematography. I mean, I'm just gonna let the pictures do the talking, but just check out these pictures that really, really encompass the Star Wars saga and the darkness of this film. Brilliant, amazingly brilliant symphonic score by John Williams. He can create any world, anything, just through the power of instrumental symphonic music. That is just insane. He is probably the best film composer to have ever lived. His music for all 7 of the films encompasses darkness, hope, the feelings of dread. His music is ever-changing, but still always stays the same. And us as fans, we don't really mind that, because his music is awesome. The soundtrack for The Empire Strikes Back is epic, and I think that's what they were going for with the soundtrack for this film. So they needed John Williams to create an epic soundtrack. Music that would live on in the back of people's heads. Music that would give it that extra oomph, make the battle scenes more epic, make the love scenes more romantic. He can do it. That's why John Williams is the perfect pick for any film. The biggest themes that and issues that the film addresses is the theme and issue of war. The Battle of Hoth scene is based off of, I think it's Dunkirk, where it's a famous battle in World War II. Either way, this film will always be my favourite film of all time. And I don't think I need to justify that any further than I already have. But this is my favourite film of all time, and it generally is one of the best films of all time.
A big, new, sprawling space adventure in the Star Wars saga, The Empire Strikes Back. Coming to your galaxy next summer.